Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bygone Times. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to look at this ornate Art Nouveau tray. It has a woman resting against a pedestal. Maybe it looks like she's got a scarf. I don't think she's playing an instrument, but it almost looks like a snake there. We have clouds in the background and some deer over here, some trees, so kind of a classic Art Nouveau scene. This particular piece doesn't have any markings on it. However, it is very heavy, about 9 pounds. You can see how big it is, something like 8 by 12. It's about 9 pounds, and it's beveled forward. You can see the back. So, this is bronze or cast iron, cast metal of some sort. Most likely it is that, cast iron. It is painted in a variety of ways. You can see the different colors in her skin and her hair and her dress or her robe that's kind of falling away. There's also a torch over here, kind of like an Olympic torch. This is a very typical look of Art Nouveau. So with this being so heavy and appearing to be original, I would place it in the early or late 1900s or late 1800s to early 1900s. It probably came from Europe, France, Belgium, Germany. Since I'm not sure, based on not having any markings, exactly who made it, I could make a few guesses. Some companies like Louis Kley Moreau in France, WMF in Germany, and Johan Van Neste in Belgium all made these types of items. So it could be one of those, or perhaps a different company that made it. In terms of what it is, functionally, it's pretty, right? It certainly has a some depth to it. So I have actually found a couple of copies of this particular piece in online auction houses that have either sold or are for sale, and they have different takes on what this item might be. So one has it as a wall sconce, which I suppose it could be. It is pretty heavy for that use at 9 pounds, and you would have to do some work to get it to stick, although there are holes there, so maybe there was some sort of backing at some point, or perhaps it had feet at some point, although the other copies that I've seen do not have feet either. Maybe that's an aftermarket modification, who knows. The other use that I've seen listed is as a jewelry tray, and I've seen the people who say that actually put jewelry in the tray, so a pearl necklace or whatever, and that looks feasible to me, and it seems feasible. It's certainly not going to go anywhere. It could just be something that you sit on your desk, throw your change in, whatever, but it probably had some purpose, such as a jewelry tray, or maybe combs or something, a dressing tray on a dresser when it was first made and sold. So in terms of value, it's probably a couple to a few $100s if you were to buy it at auction. It certainly is well made, and I can't imagine it would be too easy to buy a new version of this, just because of how heavy it is and how intricate it is. The molds aren't out there like this anymore. So anyway, That is an Art Nouveau piece. And Art Nouveau was a popular style in that same time frame that I mentioned. So Victorian era, but with more of a French or Middle European influence, as opposed to the Victorian influence from England, Queen Victoria. But you would see all kinds of different pieces. Clocks often had this sort of metalwork, and maybe we'll look at a clock or two. Actually, we looked at a small clock earlier, but you can see figural clocks a lot. Just small statues that would sit on a mantle or a shelf, an etagere, or whatever. Kind of fancy for people to just have sitting in their homes to make them to make a good eye piece, a good art piece to have in your house. So sort of commoditized art, although I imagine it wasn't all that cheap to buy these new. What else was Art Nouveau? There are a lot of pictures, prints and paintings that people would buy and hang in their houses. I often think of things like The Great Gatsby and the flappers of when I see Art Nouveau, although it does range earlier than that as well. Just look at this scene a little bit more. There's water out here. So you can see some of the ripples in the water with the clouds over top, and there's something that runs out over the water, our little peninsula. So this is kind of like the scenes that we would see in parish prints and parish paintings from basically the same era. So fits right in with these different pieces from the Art Nouveau time period and the Art Nouveau move. Look at the detail on those ferns. Pretty intricate for a piece of metal. Take a quick look at the bottom here, the bottom edge. So looks like the top pretty much, and the side edges. So if you're watching this, what do you think the purpose of this piece is? Wall sconce, jewelry tray, serving tray. Ooh, you'd have to be pretty stout for that. I'd like to hear your thoughts, or if you have any ideas on the origin of this Art Nouveau piece. Well, thanks for watching.